Our 12 days of Christmas that we're working on today is this Merry, and we're going to do another sweatshirt that says Bright, but we're going to work on Merry. And let's go over some of the supplies you're going to need. We're going to need some fusible stabilizer, some medium cutaway. I'm using the 7511 dime ceramic coated needles in the machine. And any yarn, doesn't need to be expensive yarn. This could be Walmart yarn, anything. Tracy just happened to have this in her supply at home, so this is what she brought in. And any polyester thread, we're using Designs in Machine Embroidery 40 weight thread in the needle. And that's all you're going to need. So let's get started. We have our fusible on the back of our sweatshirt. I have hooped the sweatshirt. So I have actually hooped it. This is the right side. My neck of the sweatshirt is to the right side of the hoop so that we can slide the left part into the machine. And then I've just turned it sort of inside out. Now, we have everything set up. The yarn is up on the top. I will just push this off to the side, but I will be pulling it up onto the machine so that there is absolutely no stress. And the mask, I want you to understand, is not all the way up as we would normally do using a large spool of thread. This mask has to be halfway down. We also have on the machine, Tracy's going to show you, we have a guide up on the upper left side of the machine for the yarn couching, and then there is the yarn couching foot itself. There is a little hole here, and then the yarn, will slide through there, and the needle is threaded just as normal, and yes, you can use the needle thread or button. So there's nothing that will get in the way of the thread of the needle. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and get this all in here. And there is extra lift. Okay, I've got that sliding that in. Now that I have hooped the sweatshirt, what I want to make sure that you do is make sure that the sleeves on either side are not underneath this hoop. Now the other thing I'm going to do is I'm actually going to slide a piece of cutaway stabilizer underneath the entire hoop. I did not hoop this because I think it's easier if we just put it underneath the entire hoop. So I've made sure that this is in front and I have enough in the back because I can feel it and I can see it, and it's past the hoop. So it's quite a large piece of cutaway. Now what I would like to show you is we've already put Merry in here. I'm going to hit set, and I'm going to just go right to the embroidery. We need to make sure that we have this in the right direction. My neck is up here, so we need to rotate the design. So I'm going to go to layout, and I'm going to go to rotate, and we're going to flip the entire design. Now the next thing I also want to do is to make sure that the placement is where we need to. And I'm going to go back. Right down here is this little dotted circle. I use this feature all the time because I want to just make sure that the placement, the placement is where I need it to be. So again, our neck is right here. The center of our neck is actually right here. I have centered the design with the center of the hoop. So the center of the design is way down here, but I've centered my t-shirt up here. So I am going to be doing some maneuvering with this, and I may have to unhoop this and rehoop, but I'm going to see if we can just move the layout and move this up. And that looks really good. So right here is where the center of my design is. And that looks like it is pretty darn close. As most of you know, close is close enough in this instance. Now the other thing I'm going to check also is the top part of our design. And I really think we need to shift the design up a little bit, because again, here is the center of the neck. This is the center of the design. What do you think that is? About 4 inches, 4.5? It is a little low. So we're also going to move this up to see how far we can go.
And the green crosshairs.
And the green crosshairs right here is still in the center of the hoop. That's also at the top of the design. So this would be the top of the R right here. And I think that is much, much better than it was before. So again, just using our little guy. I love that little layout. That's how far down the design is going to be. And up at the top on the left-hand side of the design. I think that looks good. And we are going to go ahead. And again, we need to make sure that we have all of this pooling at the top. This is in both thread guides. The thread staff is halfway. Everything is nice and pooled. I've got my yarn off on the table on the side, and I'm going to do a big, just bunch of yarn there. And if I need to stop the machine, I'm going to stop the machine. I just want to make sure that there's nothing in the way of that. So we are going to go ahead and lower the embroidery foot, and I'm going to start. Now, at this point, I do want to let you know that, and I'm going to cut this yarn, this thread. This has knotted, and so this is not going to come off, and I'm also going to trim this. The other thing I want to point out too is our thread color. There's very little of this thread that's actually going to show, and it makes kind of like a little zigzag type of stitch. But we chose this so that you could actually see it on the colored yarn that we have chosen, the multicolored yarn. Otherwise, what we probably would have done is a variegated thread, but we did want you to be able to see this. Now, the other thing I want to point out is the machine, no matter if I have this set at 1050 stitches per minute, because we have the yarn couching foot on, it automatically slows down to 600. Might be 600 or 650, but anyway, it is in the 600 range. And the machine is smart enough to know that it's got that yarn couching foot on versus what we're going to be doing, any other type of embroidery. So we're almost done here. And this is starting back on the M. What I did was start with the E, just so that you guys could see how far this went, how easy it was to do. I believe the design is only 21 minutes, and this M will take 6 minutes to embroider out, but it is coming along nicely. Now that we have completed our yarn couching, I just wanted to explain to you that I use pinking shears and go all the way around for the cutaway and the fusible. And you don't need to fuse this that far down. It's not going to hurt anything, as you can see here, because when I put this right side out, it just gives a nice base to the yarn couching.